interesting scientific idea. If we learn something, then we should review it the next day. We review it the next day before we've forgotten it, that's a good thing. Once we've done that, if we can manage to get to review it again a week later, that will stay in our memories much longer. It will stay, in fact, a whole month, so we can visit again a month later. And that will stay in our memories a whole 3 months. And this logic goes on. If we remember it in 3 months, we can then hold on to it to the 6-month period. By which time, actually, if we remind ourselves 6 months after that, which is 9 months in total if you get the logic, it's probably completely firmly embedded in our long-term memory. So we want solutions actually that take people's learning, maybe it's in a classroom or through coaching or through e-learning or whatever, social learning too, and we want to be able to remind people at these intervals very quickly afterwards, like the next day, a week later, a month later, 3 months later, even 6 months later, if we want to transform that thing from temporary memory into some permanent memory. So that's idea 1. Idea 2. Let's come to the next one. So idea 2 is how we learn incubation. So I'm going to give you a challenge. The only way of proving this is to actually get you to do it. So this is a challenge, it's a difficult challenge. If you know the answer, don't shout it out, okay? But think about this. A smooth dance, a ball sport, a place to stay, an Asian country and a girl's name. What is the girl's name? Now incubation theory suggests to us that if we take a break from something we're stuck on, then it massively increases our ability to resolve it and solve it at a future point. So I want you to quickly take a note of this. You can take a picture of it, you can type it into your phones, and I want you to put an alarm in for about, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 o'clock tonight, whenever you get your tea done and you're sitting at home, a reminder to see whether incubation has worked, and you've got the answer to this. So I'll stand out of the way so you can take your photos. But a smooth dance, a ball sport, a place to stay, an Asian country, and a girl's name. What is her name? Now you might have the answer right now. If you have, keep it to yourself, it's fine. But past 6 o'clock tonight, if you put a reminder on your phone and you've got the answer, how about tweeting it? Stick like iManage there and tweet it, and we'll respond and see whether you've got the right answer and whether incubation has worked for you. So incubation says simply this, that if you have a break from something, then it increases your ability to solve the problem. And we know that, don't we? We know we get stuck and we go and have a cup of coffee or we go and do something different and we come back to it. There's those occasions where pennies just dropped. Now that's scientifically proven. Our brains actually work away at things even though we don't know it. And we might pick up ideas and get new insights into something even though we're not tapping into it, which is quite incredible, isn't it? These two academics, Sia and Ormerod, said that it didn't matter what the break was. It could be a relaxing break, it could be a mildly active break where they were getting people to do something, or it could be a highly engaging break where they had to do something really mental and strenuous. It didn't matter what the break was. The fact was they had a break, and that resulted, look at the number here, on average participants remembered 90% more of the interrupted and unfinished project, 90% more where they had a break and there was an opportunity for incubation. Now that's an interesting idea, isn't it? That we might introduce breaks and interruptions into our learning. So let's just think about that for a moment then. They found that they could maximise the effect by interrupting people at the most important moment when they were most engrossed. That helped people to learn and remember it more. But how does that apply then? How do we use a learning theory like incubation when we're designing learning solutions? So back to your Twitter, some ideas around the room. How can we use this idea of breaking into something at the key moment where you're most engrossed actually helps people to retain the truth or solve the problem, the truth, retain the fact. So thoughts, ideas, quick discussion, tweets and thoughts. How do we apply that to our learning design? What else we got here? Build Energize is something different. I mean, that's something I love. We often use completely left of center ideas that have come out of nowhere to be a distraction. This is interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, mums say you shouldn't be distracted when you're doing your homework or your revision. And dads say that as well, I suspect. But this theory actually suggests being distracted is the best way. The learning scientists are saying 90% more memory when people are interrupted. Well, fascinating. Set a challenging question before a break time. It says, any other ideas? Any other thoughts coming through? Yeah. Trainer walks out halfway through, or an explosion halfway through. Yeah. Well, it could be interesting, couldn't it? Certainly wouldn't be uneventful if we did that. Here are some ideas, some thoughts that we like to think about. So, you know, the fact, please switch on your phones, I said at the beginning. We've completely changed our view of saying at the beginning of events, oh, you know, please put your phones on silent. This theory suggests that's the worst thing to do if we want people to remember. We should be not scared about this world of technology that everyone's using and tapping into. These interruptions that people have at an event are beneficial to their learning. Do we believe that? So that's a brave thing to believe, isn't it? Well, we try that. We do that. And we think that's true. Interruptions are not the enemy of good learning. Design distractions into your learning solutions. Already suggested that on the Twitter feed. Encourage teenagers to listen to music when they're studying. Well, maybe all of us. Some kind of brain distraction, useful thing. Fragment e-learning. So we love the idea of incubation, and our e-learning packages, when our clients allow us, which is most of the time, are never more than a 10-minute module. Why do you want more than that? Let's give them an idea and give us some incubation time. It's better that they come back again in a couple of days' time and do another 10-minute piece of e-learning that's perhaps carefully positioned for them. So you can see how this starts to link with the first idea of forgetting to remember as well, actually, because we make it much more bite-sized, much more regular, much more intuitive and just accessible at a point in time. Then it's potentially increasing the learning. Okay, let's do another one. What's the time? About 10 minutes, which is perfect for the third one. So remember this? Smooth dance, a ball sport, a place to stay, an Asian country, and a girl's name. What's the girl's name? Let that incubate. See if you've got an answer later on. Tweet it if you have. It'd be fascinating to see. Because I don't know, will this work? It might work. Let's see. Do a real life experiment on Twitter.